On today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast, Daylen Baldwin of Michigan joins the show as we continue our NFL draftee hopeful countdown, talking to the prospects, all of that. Just one big gumbo of prospects the last couple of weeks here on the Locked On Texan podcast. We hear from Nick Caserio. Let's talk a little bit about that, and of course, the YouTube comments to end off the show. But first, it's Friday. Start the countdown.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily Houston Texans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to a Friday edition of the Locked On Texan podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm John Hickman, joined by Sports Illustrated's own Cody Davis, as we have another show, as I mentioned in the cold opening, with an NFL prospect. But before we dive into the future of this young man, Cody, we had an opportunity to hear from Nick Caserio a week before the NFL draft, and it was a lot of hit and misses. But I think one thing that everybody can kind of take away from that conversation and press conference was there's a strong possibility that number 3 won't be moved, but number 13 may be moved. Cody, what was your takeaway from that?
That was my number one takeaway. And it's kind of funny and ironic that we said that, because prior to Nick Caserio taking questions from us media personnel, he said that there was a lot of quote unquote misinformation regarding what the Houston Texans are going to do in terms of a trade. I first took that as Texans Deebo Samuel, because we all have heard that the Texans are one of the teams that are interested in trying to get their hands on Samuel. We talked about that the last 2 days. Absolutely. But as Nick Caserio went on to start talking, he didn't bring up a particular player, but he did mention the possibility of moving around the draft is still a realistic possibility. But he did say not too many teams have been calling about the number 3 pick, but number 13 has had a few discussions going on. And John, we are 6 days away from the start of the 2022 NFL draft. We all been preparing. Somebody is going to get that number 3 overall pick, but it seems like 13 is going to be on the move. And I think Nick Caserio hit the nail on the coffin when he said this draft doesn't have a He didn't really use this term generational talent, but it's something that we've been all talking about. When you go back and you take a look at last year's draft, it was Trevor Lawrence is a must pick at number 1. This person is a must pick at number 2. It's not like that. He basically called this draft a crapshoot, and it's a really deep class. And that is part of the reason why we are seeing the Texans say there's a possibility we're going to keep the number 3 overall pick. And if we move one of these picks in the first round, it's going to be number 13.
Yeah, I can definitely see a scenario where Houston moves on from 13 if the player that they would, project want to be available at 13 is not available, and they may see fit to move back, give that 13 pick, trade it to another franchise, accumulate a little bit extra capital in this year's draft, maybe next year's draft, for a player that they don't want to overdraft, right? I think that's a strong possibility.
You actually talked about that.
Right, and I definitely think that that's an option. Nick Caserio did say on draft capital of having 5 picks in the top 80 selections. I don't use the term rebuild. Rebuild is more of an external. What I focus on is building our team. Excuse me, my light went out. But building our team is no different. We are building a program. Now, to me, rebuild, and I want to use that term for a lot of you people who have been stuck on just wanting, it seems like, the Texans to be a bad team this upcoming year because you want another top pick in next year's draft for a possible quarterback. And I saw a lot of you guys that, were sold on some of the quarterbacks like a Sam Howell or Spencer Rattler before they stunk it up this past season, saying the same things about these quarterbacks coming up in this year's college football season. Slow down. Doesn't look like Nick Caserio isn't necessarily committing to being a terrible team. He's just going to build this team brick by brick. And of course, it does go out. It does come out to Lovie Smith, Pep Hamilton, Dino Vasso, the coordinators, the coaches, to, put a product out on the field. And I want to say this: I think that at number 3, Nick Caserio, who mentioned that he would be basically a fool if he doesn't listen and consider what Lovie Smith wants in this year's draft, something along those lines. So I can see a scenario where 13 is very important. I mean, 3 is very important to Lovie Smith, and maybe 13 is very important to Pep Hamilton. And so I think that's very interesting to hear Nick Caserio say he's not focusing on a rebuild, more so on building this franchise.
Really quick, John, before moving on, I do want to ask you this question just to get your opinion. Would you want to see the Houston Texans move out of 13? Me personally, I would prefer if they keep that number 3 and that 13 overall pick. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of holes on this team, and if I'm pretty sure everybody, reporter, fans, whatever the case might be, we want to see this team be a lot more competitive for this upcoming season. And I think that would be best if they actually keep those picks versus, just moving on or whatever the case might be.
I'm kind of indifferent about that. I definitely believe that moving on from 13, in order for us to judge it properly, we were just going to have to wait and see what the compensation is going to be in return.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I personally have no real feeling about moving on from 13. I'm just only in the position, and my mindset is I have to wait and see if they do indeed move on from 13, what did they get back in return? Kind of like judging the Deshaun Watson trade, right? Only difference is we knew it was going to happen. But whether it was Cleveland, whether it was Carolina, whether it was Atlanta or New Orleans, what are the Houston Texans going to get in return? Then that's when I can sit back and judge it and decide whether or not I like it or not. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that gives you the features of a $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also, something you won't find anywhere else is the Shady Rays Insane Protection Program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair of sunglasses. They will send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happens. Give them a try. And if you don't love them, you will pay nothing. It is as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively right now for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use promo code LOCKED ON to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of sunglasses right now. That's code LOCKED ON for the best deal of the season. Listen, guys, summertime is coming up, and if you want to look summertime fly like how I'm going to look June 17 at my wedding, you can use that 50% off. Again, Locked On for 50% off 2 or more of pairs of the Shady Rays sunglasses backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. And I want to continue by telling you guys about BetOnline. They continue to be your number one betting, stats, and sports information source. Find all of the latest sports betting developments, league reviews, news, and including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the MLB season. BetOnline is your continued number one source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about all of the trends and actions, because BetOnline is where the game starts. Thanks for making Locked On Texans your first listen every day. The NFL Draft is here, and fans are dying to know who their team will take. Locked On and Odyssey presents the NFL Mock Ultimate Draft 2022. It's the biggest mock draft on the planet, featuring 70 Locked On experts and Odyssey insiders, including Michael Irvin, for over 6 episodes. The NFL Mock Draft is available right now on the Locked On NFL podcast, on Odyssey, and wherever you get podcasts. Welcome back in, Locked On Texan fans, viewers out there. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube page at Locked On Texans. As promised, the last couple of weeks we have been going through the draft process, days leading up to April 28th, next Thursday. Today's no different. Speaking with draft prospects, we have Daylen Baldwin, wide receiver of Michigan. Super excited to have you on today's show.
Appreciate you guys having me on, Cody and John. Just honored to be here. Honestly, just another interview that I had. Appreciate y'all though.
Yes, sir. And Dylan, let's jump right into it. Before you had a great pro day at Michigan, you started gaining the attention of scouts during the Tropical Bowl. So, can you talk about how you was able to use that experience and actually build your draft stock? And by the way, I was also told that the Houston Texans started giving you a look as well.
Yeah, no, they definitely gave me an interview. I definitely interviewed one of the scouts. For me, it was about being locked in, being focused, understanding that from here on out, it's everything is an assessment, and just gotta put my best foot forward at all times. And like, there's no, oh, I wish I had this back. It was just me just going hard the whole time and giving it my all, which I'm ultimately happy about my performance while I was down there, which I did feel like I gained a lot of attention there.
Awesome, awesome. Dylan, when you look at your college career, Morgan State, Jackson State, Michigan, to receiving interest from several teams around the NFL, when you look back on your journey, you look at the route that you had to take to get here, what is your appreciation level to just be so close to playing in the NFL, especially considering that you had to take a different route from most prospects who are also in the same draft class?
For me, man, it was just about God. Honestly, because you couldn't have told 18-year-old me that I was gonna go to Morgan State, then have to leave 2 years later. You couldn't told 20-year-old me that I was gonna go to Jackson State and be coached by Deion Sanders. You couldn't told 21-year-old me that I was gonna go to Michigan and play for Harbaugh shortly after. So for me, that was a huge thing. Like, those steps weren't they weren't always off philosophy and, oh, I understand exactly what's going on. They were really off faith. You get what I'm saying? Understanding that I know what I work hard for, and I know how hard I work, and just honestly, just putting God and my family first, honestly. So for me, that was like the biggest thing. It was definitely a lot of faith included in that.
In your past 2 years, you've had some games where you've averaged 22 or more yards per catch at least 6 times. What about your game gives you that big playmaking ability?
It's about me being smart. I like, we all play. I feel like all receivers are playmakers. It's about me. I really study film. I don't take film lightly. Like, I understand the defense that I'm going against. I kind of guess, especially when I was at Jackson, I had to really guess how they was going to play me based on if they were going to play two over me or not. Like, just, and still figure out ways to get open. You get what I'm saying? So for me, it was a lot of like just figuring things out, which was different for me because I before that I was never really the star of the team, like at receiver anyway. So for me, it was about figuring that out. Then another stepping stone was Michigan, me developing again, just understanding defenses and stuff like that. So I feel like that's the best part of my game as well, how smart I am. So I feel like that definitely just helped a lot.
I will say compliments to you and your release at the line of scrimmage. Just going back and doing my own film work, it seems like you win right at the line of scrimmage with your quick release and your footwork. Has that always been a weapon of yours in your artillery growing up, or has that been something you had to work on to be able to win some of those one-on-one battles?
No, I definitely had to work on that. Nothing from receiver really came really easy for real. I had a quick first step, but that's about it. Honestly, I played when I started in Little League. I played O-line, D-line my first 8 years of football. I never played receiver until I got to high school. So like everything from there just took work. Shout out Coach Mason Wide Out Tech. He one of my guys who helped me since I started playing receiver. He really helped me get to where I needed to be as far as releases, because that was one thing he harped on, me staying low at the line, because I was a taller, linkier receiver when I was younger. So for that, yeah, I just had to just really grind and just keep working releases. And now once I figured out how other receivers view releases, I started understanding how important they were. And I knew that if I could win a release, I could win a route.
Daylen, you played one season under Coach Deion Sanders, played another season under Coach Jim Harbaugh. What is your confidence level going into the NFL, knowing that on one hand, you got coached by one of the best NFL players of all time. Then
Yes,
on the
sir.
other hand, you had an opportunity to learn from a former Coach of the Year who actually won the award in 2011.
Man, just a lot. Honestly, I'm blessed. Just seeing both sides of it. Seeing how everything works from an NFL aspect, because that's all they wanted to bring to the organizations that to the schools that I was at. They just wanted to bring the NFL feel to it. So I seen it. Like I seen anything the NFL can offer. I feel like I seen it already, including the playbook, including how getting cut off the team work dang near. Like I didn't seen that stuff. So for me, I done seen the atmospheres of the competitive spirit of NFL practice. I feel like almost, which is a blessing being at Michigan and Jackson State. So yeah, I'm 100% confident. I feel like I can come in and make noise right away. You know what I'm saying? So,
What receiver or receivers do you watch film, and kind of compare yourself to?
man, I try to watch all of them. I try to take anything from everybody. I watch Chad Josico workouts all the time. I watch Chad Johnson more than any other receiver. I'm not gonna lie to
Wow.
you. Sterling Sharp. I love Sterling Sharp. Not Sterling Sharp that played for the Giants, but Shannon Sharp, older brother who played Green Bay a while ago. I
Oh,
love
we
Sterling
know who
Sharp.
that is.
Yeah, and everybody don't know who that is. Everybody know who that is. You gotta really
We
be a
know who that
receiver, you know what
is.
I'm saying? You gotta really be a receiver. So Sterling Sharp, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, D Hop. I try to watch everybody. I just try to take one thing from everybody game to make my own game. You get what I'm saying? So
All right.
just being a student of the game, learning how they view things. So
How much has being a student of the game actually helped you? Because not too many people, as you mentioned, know Sterling Sharp. Everybody knows Shannon, but they don't know Sterling. And you just
nah,
talk
most
about how
definitely.
much you watch Chad Ochocinco. So can you just talk about how just being a student of the game, a historian of the game, actually helped you in your game?
Nah, most definitely. So it help you identify a lot of stuff. Uh, like even with my training, like I don't go to any trainer because I know if you training me right or not, because I know what I'm doing. You get what
Right.
I'm saying? But like
Right.
that's a
Right.
that's a huge thing to it though, because you got trainers who may not know as much, but you got a kid following them. Like for me, like now I know when you're doing the right thing and when you're not. That's a big part of like what I'm like of me in my development, because I'm all about development, because that's what got me here, getting better every day in and day out. So for me, no, it's definitely helped my game tremendously. Just understanding what drills to do, what drills not to do. Understand the little things of the game, the coverages, especially understanding defensive coverages, because once you do that, the entire game can slow down for you. You know what I'm saying? So just just happy and blessed that I am a student of the game.
After playing one season at Michigan, I wanted to ask about playing in the Big Ten and that competition. They had 44 players drafted in 2021. How has that actually helped you get prepared for this year's upcoming draft? A lot of
It
talent out
helped
there
me.
in the Big Ten.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but no, it helped me a lot, man. For me, the intensity of every play was the thing. When I was at my two previous schools before that, it would the intensity every play wasn't as high as it was in the Big Ten, to be perfectly honest. Uh, but for me, that prepared me that much more to see that, to come with that intensity every single play and to never take a play off ever. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was like the big thing. That was the big jump for me.
Daylen, before we let you go, I do want to ask this question really quick. Everybody know Michigan, everybody know Jackson State because of Coach Dion, what he has been able to do, especially for HBCUs. But can you just talk about your first school at Morgan State and how that basically laid the foundation to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out Coach Dickerson, all them guys who was there in that receiver core. You got Trigg, Tay White, Sean Don, those guys, the older guys, Little. You got the older guys who they really took me in. They really messed with me, and that gave me a lot of confidence, because I think I started after game, like the second game of the season. I started as a freshman, so for me, it was about Coach D definitely helped me. Coach Ron Dickerson, he helped me a lot. Just developing me and just allowing me to be confident in my game and understanding that, like, okay, this is your game. Just you love it, and you make it better. You get what I'm saying? He didn't really try to change how I played at all, but no, I was definitely blessed. It laid that foundation. We had times where we ain't really had nowhere to work out. We had to go work out in the gym. Like those times we have to really find ways to work out all the time. Like even when it gets cold outside, we got to find somewhere to work out. We got to find something to do. We go into neighboring schools if they had an indoor facility for their soccer team or something like that. We'll go run routes in there. But we just have to be creative and really find a way to work because it wasn't always given to us. So that was the blessing, and for that, like I appreciated my next two sets, which was Jackson State and Michigan. Like I appreciated everything that they had to offer. So for me, it was definitely about just finding that little grit, getting out the mud a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And little dirt ain't never hurt nobody.
Yes, sir. Last question before getting out of here. I've been told several teams have been looking at you. Let's say an NFL scout runs across Locked On Texans. They see your name. They they give it a listen. They liking everything that they just heard. If you can make one final pitch to an NFL scout to a team, and to let them to make them say, you know what, we're gonna take a chance on this young man next week during the draft, what would that be?
For me, it really just be I'm coming to play right now. Whoever get me, I'm coming to play right now. I don't plan on. I didn't develop enough. I'm coming to play right now. So whoever get me, best of luck to you.
War ready.
Love that answer. By the way, we go if the Texans draft you, we definitely need you to come right away because we got
ready.
A quarterback named Davis Mills. He just needs to make sure he got weapons.
I watched the game. I like Davis Mills. He can throw the ball.
Hey,
I watched the game.
And I'm pretty sure you had an opportunity to transfer over to Michigan. You guys didn't get an opportunity to play with one another, but you also know we got Nico Collins, a former Wolverine down here in Houston too. So we get two Wolverines, we may be doing something.
No, most definitely. I didn't even get to play with Nico, but we can definitely link up. When you go to Michigan, it's all love. We forever locked in. It don't even matter. I don't even have to know you for real. That's a brotherhood up there for real.
Wide receiver, like Davis Mills, got a connection with Nick. Hey, this sounds like the perfect pick. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying.
No, for real.
Oh, we love it, man. Thank you for stopping by the Locked On Texans podcast today. We had a great interview and conversation really with you. Let everybody know where they can follow you on Twitter, social media, Instagram, whatever you want to feel comfortable putting out there.
My Instagram is Daylen Baldwin 2, my whole name number 2. Then my Twitter is my whole name, Daylen Baldwin 10. So nothing crazy, just Daylen Baldwin. Go ahead and type that in, it'll pop right up for y'all.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit that follow.
Appreciate it.
There we go.
Awesome. Sounds good, Daylen. Best of luck to you next week, man. Hopefully we have an opportunity to do this again. I have a feeling we will, you'll be officially part of this team. Who knows? But, man, once again, man, it doesn't matter if it's the Texans or the other 31 teams in the league, man. Good luck to you. We're rooting for you. And hopefully we talk to you again soon, man.
I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If you have not jumped on the Built Bar hype train, you should do it right now. I don't know what you're waiting on. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. That's 100% real chocolate. Low calorie, high protein. Replace these with your candy bars. They're better, and typically a candy bar can carry between 200 to 300 calories. Go to Built.com, scroll down to the macros chart, and you will be blown away. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, low carb. And most Built Bar contains 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. The best part, mint brownie, coconut almond. What are those? Those are all the delicious and amazing flavors you can choose from. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Thanks for making Locked On Texans your first listen every day. We've made it to the weekend. It's Friday. Now make your second listen to Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And welcome back in. And before we end today's episode, got to shout out Daylen Baldwin.
Yes, sir.
Got to shout out the Wolverines, man. The idea of having 2 Wolverines here in Houston, Cody, Nico Collins is already here. How do you think that'll play out?
What you mean? I would love that. And by the way, there might be a slim chance there could be three. Another Wolverine could be taken at number three if he falls.
Hey
Down
man,
there, you never know.
and
But without,
I just don't want these boys to come out here, man, and they start eating some of this Houston food, and they start seeing some of all of the attractions Houston can offer. Just want y'all to come out here and ball, man, like you guys did in college.
I, I think they will. That's one thing about the city of Houston. Like when players
It's
come
addictive.
here, they step their game up because it's like you get the mix, you get the best of both worlds. Houston got a lot to offer. In terms of like whatever you like to do off the field, or off the court, or off the diamond. But at the same time, they have everything that you need to make sure you be successful and put on for this city. And one thing I love about covering Houston sports, especially the Houston Texans and Rockets, yes, it's kind of rough right now, but I am enjoy covering these young guys like a Nico Collins, like a Davis Mills, like a Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr.
Quick story. This was after James Harden dropped his first triple double at home as a Rocket, and I was out with my boys. Man, we went to V Live, and if you guys don't remember V Live, like the real V Live, it was a moment in time. But we were getting ready to go, and I wasn't making no locked on money then, so I had to get in and get out. And I hear the DJ, hold on, James Harden in the house. James Harden in the house. And I'm thinking to
I remember
myself,
this story.
the game just ended 30 minutes ago. When James Harden walked in fresh off a triple double, that's when you knew he was the king of Houston sports. We had a great run with James Harden. He's out there balling with Philly, fouled out a couple of nights ago, but they're up 2-0 on the Raptors. But just saying that to say, Houston offers everything. Now we're going to offer y'all some of these comments. Jalen Johnson, 0309. This is on the Changing the Narrative episode. And he mentioned this was a couple of days ago. If they do, and this was in regards to the draft and what they should do. Jalen Johnson said if they do, I would like for them to go with Icky because how great he is at guard. And also if and when Caserio moves on from either Tunsil or Howard, he can move Icky to left or right tackle, even though we would have a hole at left guard again. He continued with discussing Zion Johnson at 13, which I'll be a fan of. But I want to say this. I'm just not a fan, Cody, of drafting a tackle and immediately moving inside. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. And I also feel like when we do see tackles move inside, a lot of times, then I think that comes off to me that they are in that quote unquote bust stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to get moved in so that the team will be able to get the best out of you. I get it, but if we draft a tackle at 3 overall and immediately move him to guard, that screams to me we could have drafted a guard later in the draft and let him play guard. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and John, to be honest with you, with the guys that they, I guess probably more so started bringing in last year in the draft, man, I just want them to play their natural position. If they're a tackle, just let them play tackle. If they're a guard, let them play guard. Because over the last couple of seasons, we have seen these players'
We got
development.
PTSD from it.
Yeah, we see these players that their development get kind of messed up. I mean, you take a look at Lonnie Johnson, corner, safety, back of corner. I mean, you take a look at Titus Howard. He was doing good at tackle. Then last year, they just had this bright idea to put him inside and play guard. He looked terrible. He didn't start looking like himself until you put him back at tackle. Even Jordan Akins, by the way, Jordan Akins just signed a 1-year deal
New York,
with
right?
with the New York Giants. But I'm bringing him because he began his career as a pass catching tight end, was really good for the Texans. Then all of a sudden he had a bright idea. Let's just use him as a blocker instead. The guy looked terrible. So I just hope this new era of Houston Texans football, whether that still be Nick Caserio, Lovie Smith, or whatever the case might be, I'm hoping that they actually play to the strength of these players versus trying to make them into something that 9 times out of 10 they are not.
Bill O'Brien
Oh, Lord.
he commented. I don't know if this is the real Bill O'Brien.
This is not the real Bill O'Brien. If
don't
it
know
is,
if this is the
text him
interview
right now and
himself.
tell him, come on this show so we can find out what the hell happened
What went
from
wrong?
what went wrong from the time they beat Buffalo to how we got here on April 22nd, 2022. Because he has a lot to do with that. And I mean a lot.
He has an absolute lot to do with that. But he did say, seeing what Brady did, it's up to Mills to be as great as he can be. Whoever you are, Bill O'Brien. I hate to use Brady and any other quarterback in the same sentence, but Bill O'Brien, um, this is why the conversation of whether or not it's important or should Houston really consider trading for Debo is a very great conversation. Nobody in this league at quarterback will succeed with lackluster talent around them. It's just not going to happen. And so it's kind of funny. You look at Debo playing with Jimmy Garoppolo, AJ Brown, who says he wants to stay in Tennessee. I believe him. He's got to play with Ryan Tannehill, Terry McLaurin, the carousel of different quarterbacks that he has to play with in his young career, and DK Metcalf. Now that Russell Wilson is gone, I don't know how long his days are in Seattle. 4 great wide receivers, possibly on the move between the next season and 2 seasons, and I do think Houston should throw their hat at one of them at least. I don't think AJ Brown would be in the running. I don't think DK would be in the running, but maybe a Terry McLaurin. Who knows? We are officially a week away, and it will get interesting day by day, time by time, click by click, YouTube by YouTube. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Subscribe at Locked On Texans. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12, and follow the Locked On Texans Twitter page at Locked On Texans as well.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, that's Cody, COTYDAVIS_24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are 6 days away, John. Lord have mercy. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.
Good Friday.